Okay, so this way we have approached the last session of this wonderful conference. The session is called "The Questions That Matter." This is idea we have developed many years ago, and when we've been in a bio convention in Chicago, I believe we started this first time, and we start asking people in our Polish booth, grabbing them to the booth and asking them, "What is your question that matters?" And we collected a lot of questions. People appreciated that approach. The idea comes from famous Albert Einstein, because as you see this quote, he said that if I had an hour to solve a problem in my life and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I knew the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. It's a very smart thing, the way to approach the problem. Am I asking the right question to solve the problem? So we started this last year, and we also invited experts to ask this question. So we invited here today 5 experts to ask the questions. So they are not going to answer these questions. They are going to ask the question and discuss, and short discussion, because we don't have so much time, why this question is important. We are not expecting answer. We are expecting why this question is important, why we should doing that, and why we are asking this today. This is my special announcement. I mentioned this yesterday. Because we are approaching next year big events which will be organized actually in the same place in May. Save the date, please, May 15, 16, where we'll be here having a conference titled Life Sciences for EU. You can read it also, Life Sciences for You, if you want. And this conference will be about the strategy for life sciences. We will be talking about in which way life sciences in three pillars, which is digital health, biotechnology, and pharma, is going to influence the future developments. So let's start with those questions. I don't remember the order, so that questions will pop up, and author may let's say start discussing about this.
No, it's me, because I was intrigued by today's here, and in positive and negative. If I am quite open. First, what I found, that 20 years ago we have been the kind of in the startup phase, debating life science and how to connect university research and so on, and industry. Today we are 20 years later. I think the good news, there are many things happen. We have ecosystem which is created, which seems that is connected, but I still feel that we really miss the big picture, and it would be very very tricky to go to the European debate about the European life science strategy without thinking about the Polish life science strategy somehow. I put this in the strategy in question because, when I was thinking about this question, I said, okay, do we have strategy at all? And I check, no, it's not. It's maybe, maybe internet didn't remember everything, so maybe we should go to the history. But at least what I screen, there are some ideas, but it's not some kind of strategy of this kind, which of course to define strategy is tricky because the area is quite big, quite complex, and even defining for European Union would be also tricky. We are still working the Commission on this question as well, because as you know, European strategy is announced by our president a few weeks ago, and we'll see what will come out from European level. But also, and this is just last point, on this, my question is that it also was triggered by the visit of different consultants in my office during all this. I'm 19 years in the European Commission almost, and Poland, still is not on the map. So it's very difficult to to see the blinking, you know, we go to Poland, you know, and I go to Stockholm, I go out and I see all these big companies around Karolinska, and I just, you know, dream about the same day in Kraków, you know, I will see the big, small industry here and working together, producing medical devices, pharma, digital solution. And so this is what I hope this is my question is about. But do we miss this, you know, what elements we are still missing to jump, you know, yesterday night when
That was the second question, but I had to cut to one because...
no, the second was about what are the conditions to do basically the frog leap, you know, because I think we need to move from I think we are in the, if I use I'm flying quite often, so we are still in the kind of old type, you know, nice plane, which is able to fly. But we need to put at least turbo to move faster, because, you know, the world is going quick, and what we miss, you know, to boost, you know, this development. I think we are on. Do we need still 20 years? You know, I don't have such life, you know, long, you know, and so give me, you know, chance to see the. Yeah,
it seems to be very right moment to ask this question, because there is now at this moment is a lot of going on about strategies for the future, especially in life sciences. Next week there will be the conference in which the FPA will present their life science strategy for Europe, and that's a proposition. And do we have that's again question, do we have our own proposition for the Europe as a Poland? Maybe each country may have something to tell about. So I like this question, it's very interesting. Do you want to comment? Yeah.
I would like to comment. Thank you, Andrzej, for this question. I'm pretty much exposed to Polish activities on the strategic field of planning. I'm leading the smart specialization group called Healthy Society at the Ministry for Development. And the short answer is what is still missing in the strategy is the strategy. So there is no single piece missing, there is the whole strategy missing. So there is no. In my memory, there are at least 3 approaches when such strategy was created and then forgotten and abandoned. So they are lying in some desks at the various ministries, at least one in Polish Development Fund, at least one in ABM, so the Agency for Medical Research. So basically, there is no strategy that is now realized. And this is a very good question. If Poland has any, let's say, economical policy at all, the answer is no.
I want to keep little bit rules, because I'll let you, but I'm keeping little rules in the clinic. But we are not going to answer the question. But your comment is actually right. It's not the answer. It's kind of comment of angle of this for this question. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I found the document in internet. So the document itself was published, I think, October 2023. So you can find the documentation. But as you said, the second point, like economic aspects, are not tackled. So still much work to do.
It's interesting because we have actually the life science strategy for Klaster. I started to think, yeah, exactly. It scaled somehow. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's valid. Any other comments about this question?
Yeah, one point. I'm not from Poland. I'm from Belgium. I think that you can replace Polish by any kind of country in Europe, and it's a very good point for Belgium as well. One of the key elements is that strategy is good. We need a roadmap. And well, Poland, for example, will appear like the leader in Europe, provided that you are doing the first step. And therefore, making sure that we are doing first step, even if a baby step, that would be fantastic. Is that part of the strategy or not, the roadmap? But definitely that's something critical, I believe.
Okay,
and
thank you.
When you find it, tell us in Belgium.
Thank you. It's very interesting. It's also very interesting from the perspective of our preparation for this next year conference, because we'll be actually going through the countries, through the networks like Abyssina, and trying to ask the right questions before the conference here, in order to make the people coming here also with some kind of questions discussed and maybe better prepared for participation in the conference, which will cover a lot of things. We are going to next question. Next person. Who's this question?
I think it's mine.
Okay.
So, exactly. My question was to how to prioritize health-related strategic initiatives to make Europe great again. Again, to paraphrase our favorite new president that showed up. Actually, it comes a little bit from what was said, meaning that indeed we have many different initiatives, even what we discussed in the previous panel discussion, yes, that we know that there are problems with financing, with upscaling. There is problem with the data. There's problem with no strategy for the biotechnology. And when we look still, there is some strategic documents that are published by the European Union. We see, and it is perceived not only by the private sector, but finally also the European Commission acknowledged that we are lagging behind, and China and US is really going much faster. And the pace that we had as a Europe, now we are starting to be really lagging behind. So my question is, maybe we should really review those document reviews, revise them, and think about the new prioritization of the task for the health-related task.
But do we have those strategic initiatives already named? You mean? Or?
There is that's what also you mentioned. Yes, that there is for the member states, and here every member state can develop their own strategic areas that are critical for the member state. There's also one strategy for the Europe, and there are some points, but maybe they are too wide. Or maybe we should be more specific. And when we also look at the Polish background, when we have like healthy society, yes, which actually means everything, and we can put there every area of the innovation and development. So I think that maybe this is also the moment that we should make one step back and to go back to those documents and try to move forward.
Terry mentioned about building the roadmap. So the initiatives, the set of initiatives should kind of form of the roadmap. But do we have those roadmaps? Or maybe prioritizing the initiatives, it's something which can be put into the roadmap. That we are sure that this roadmap is leading us to the objectives we want to achieve.
Let me comment on it, because I think the major problem in this sentence is with the word prioritize. Because if you spend so much time thinking how to prioritize something, you don't prioritize, you don't act upon it, you don't execute. And this is the major problem of Europe, that it's so complex, so complicated. There are thousands of people involved in making processes. Nobody cares about the outcome. And I'm from the industrial background, so we do care about the outcome, because otherwise we don't exist. So maybe prioritization should be also connected with some really kind of sensible but still well addressable outcomes that can be achieved quickly. Because if you think about those cycles, so there will be a group of people thinking about a problem, they will come up with some semi-solutions, then they will be replaced with another group of people that will have to adjust it somehow, and it will take in rounds. And we are talking about not one country. There are tens of countries that need to align on it and come up with something what will be the list of priorities. I think it's not very feasible this way, unless the plan will be, so maybe it should be done from the other way around. Don't think about what is important, but think about the outcome first and how to get there quickly. Because this is our major problem. US is quicker because of the mindset. China is quicker because of the mindset. And I will have also my points on my question that also relate to speed, because I think that the time is something what we really don't have.
I'm not sure if your question will be next, but okay, we'll come back. Yeah, okay, of course. But actually, we are right on the point, because we are working on with Andrzej about this structure of this next year conference, and the structure of this conference is, let's start with the vision, with the objectives, what we want to achieve, because there are many of them, and we don't want to create a new one. We want to actually check out what is common in these different visions, if this is achievable, how we can think together from very different perspectives on different levels of creating and making this strategy about this vision, and then start thinking how to achieve this. So you are on the right.
Just some correction to I think we have to think about the. Yeah, we have to think also about the drivers, because what really drives, if the prioritization go, because we want to get there, because is this somehow going to give better health, or is going to give better business to opportunity for European industry? So where is this driver? I remember one of the just a few days ago I watched the debate about the AI solutions, and one German representative, I think from the Chancellor office, he said, we really have to think how to make a public procurement of the AI solutions working smoothly. We have, for example, he mentioned that we have a number of schools. Each school is buying, something. Why we don't put a big public, procurement to give, German company, European companies, better way to get to countries. The other day, the one entrepreneur, young entrepreneur, he said, okay, I fund capital investment. I think he mentioned Israel or US. So my company is fine now from the capital, but we need contracts, public contracts. So this is things we really should start discuss maybe more openly about innovative procurement, about the way to get to the funds. Yesterday you have mentioned many times, how to get to the next step of development. So I don't think only regulation is the issue. I think we sometimes we're over estimating the regulatory part.
Okay. Anya? Yeah?
Maybe a very quick comment here about the driver along this line. Do we want to prioritize for the citizen, for the patient, or for the industry, or for both, which is even more complex? I think it should be for both, but we need to find the right way. But keeping this kind of dimension in mind when we are prioritizing is something very important.
Okay, next.
Okay, next. Here we have.
This is mine. This is why it's so long here. That's related to this kind of AI that we were discussing, and this kind of digital twin of each of us. Do we want to make sure that we have a computer model of each of us somewhere connected with us, so that we can predict what will be our future of the health? But well, that could be scary, because it could predict that we will not be feeling well. But even if we are willing to go in this direction, we want to make sure that we are sharing that with the industry, so that they can test more elements. Well, yes or no would be the short answer in less than 5 minutes here, but we need to better understand the question and the consequence of that. There are some kind of technical limitation. We are not there yet, but we are moving fast over there. So can we take advantage of it? There's some kind of cost. If each patient needs to pay for that, that could be quite a lot of money. But what about the insurance company who can benefit from that? What about the industry who can also benefit from all this kind of virtual patient? There's a question of privacy of data. And we say, okay, well, who cares to know that I've got some kind of cardiovascular system? Well, insurance company can increase the cost of my insurance, health insurance, because they know that I've got a cardiovascular system. Regulator may be willing to reduce that. Loan company, the bank, might say, okay, well, I will not give money to this guy because he's got some cardiovascular system. Even they could suspend my driving license because I might have a problem for that. So, yeah, it might be potentially interesting to have a digital twin, but everybody needs to know about what will be the consequence of that, so that we can properly answer this question and move into this right discussion. Not mentioning the clinicians, because they will be the key people, not just to use, but to interpret AI.
If I can comment, I think it's what also was mentioned before. It's about the drivers. So I think indeed the citizens should be the drivers of this innovation. So meaning, and I think if you're lying in the hospital with the heart failure and someone gives you the consent to the operation when stating that probably you will die and no one takes the responsibility, you will sign it anyway because you would like to live. And I think that this is the same case, that now everyone says that no, it's not a good idea because they can steal my data, they can be used by the bank and so on. But at the end of the day, when you have this threat that you can be really sick or you can even die, then the perspective changes. So this is.
But this is a critical moment. But Thierry also asked about this eventually contributing, willingly contributing to the development. So, yeah, Camille?
The question would be, why wouldn't you? Because if you stop innovation, and it's definitely innovation, you will just open a market that will be uncontrolled. So it will happen anyways. Because there will be money behind it, there will be need behind it, there will be people that are in need, patients and so on, and they will find a way. So by stopping it, you would just kind of legitimate that it will be uncontrolled. So what, and obviously it needs to be put into the context, but this is our future. So maybe to the last point of clinical trials. I know how hard it is to get patients into a clinical trial and to get a sufficient number of patients to get the data that will be good enough to encourage FDA or any other regulator to proceed with the drug. If you had access to in silico clinical trial data, in silico arms that can speed up the process, you are just saving lives this way. So, it's not only the part of the future, it's also a very ethical question. Why would you stop it? So,
I not agree more for that. And I was saying that in my presentation yesterday, when we are talking, patients are dying. That doesn't mean that we need to rush, but that means that we cannot wait for starting along this line. Fully agree on what you are all saying here, and in line with that, but that means that we need to start discussing all these kind of ethical questions now.
yeah.
We actually already started this process. I mean, probably all of us have some digital data stored in some system about our body. So there is maybe, you know, a röntgen scan or tomography or something already in the system. So we started this, although of course our digital twin is not complete. It's only a partial, a small portion of our body was mapped in a way. But it's going this direction. So everybody in the future probably will have a more and more complete digital twin of his own. So it's not the question if we are going to do this. We started this process and we are mid-term. So we are going in this direction. The question is, how would you use it, probably?
A funny story about this. Now I've started to think that this is a question actually addressed to patients, because that's their role in here. And maybe this is also the problem of education, right education, because as I can bet that people looking at this question imagine the digital twin as some kind of having the shape of the person, myself. But the reality is that my liver, for example, the model of my liver will be in Sano, but model of my brain will be somewhere in USA, and the model of my bones will be elsewhere. So, and this digital twin will be kind of dispersed all over the universe.
Remind you just a side remarks that we're just currently, there's a call, you know, in the about the digital twin that's going on,
yeah.
the future platform, and so I think these things are happening. Again, the priority is a good priority for the European Union. I mentioned just one area which I am fond of and also developed during last years. You know, this is the rare disease area when we badly need more research. It's very difficult to also gather the patients, you know, to the clinical trials, because they also spread across Europe because of rare diseases. But even though, you know, to start, for example, in Poland, registries of rare disease patients is already quite painful and difficult exercise. I hope it's slowly we are coming there, but it's a challenge. But for sure, this is one of the European scale exercise we have to continue, you know, for the rare diseases, because of the nature of this type of patients and disease.
Okay, thank you. Are we skipping to the next question? Or
Maybe the very last comment, talking about the fact that it exists. There are already many companies in the world that do sell the data this way, so they can offer you a model or access to data which were generated somehow or were combined somehow and can be sold. So I think that one of the initiatives could be to have a more kind of streamlined approach on, which will be not only on the commercial level, but will be somehow stimulated by the society to have a big kind of database of this information that later on with the machine learning and AI can be used more openly by not only companies, but also everyone who would like to use it for example, clinical development, because it helps and speeds up.
Thank you. So next question, only 2 left, as it's easy to count.
Okay, so that's the one from me. So it can be started with can or why not innovative drugs are shaping Europe's competitive advantage. So I wouldn't like to look at it from Poland or Polish perspective. Poland is part of European Union, and we do agree at some stage to follow certain rules and certain regulations, certain processes. And for some reason, Europe, despite the fact that we are so complex, that we are so heterogeneous, that we have so much of potential, we are not leading, and we are not. So right now, when you look into the analysis, for example, of the country that, or region that runs the most of clinical trials, that would be China. Then there will be US after that, and only Europe. And there are other locations that are right now becoming more and more favorite place for companies or to start clinical development. So what's the reason for it, and why this is not changing over time in the right direction, but rather moving backwards? And should that be on the level of individual countries right now to deal with that, or deciding to be part of a broader European environment? Shouldn't we start looking at the objectives, and maybe let's look what others are doing and stick to it? And I don't want to go maybe deeper into specific examples, because obviously in clinical trial regulations, clinical trial information systems that we have right now, we can see that more and more clinical trials are taken away from Europe just because it takes so long. It's not only about the cost, it's purely about the time, because time costs the most, because the patients are waiting. So I think that keeping in mind next year's meeting, ensuring that Europe will still be in the race and try to compete with whatever is happening in the global innovative drugs market is of essence, because otherwise we will just get lost.
I think it's most probably next Monday. You said you will discuss this in Brussels. As most probably, I didn't see the whole program, but I'm sure this will be one of the big issue. And I fully agree that working with the clinical trials, first regulations, then implementation, spending, you can trust me, many days, sometimes nights, trying to make this IT system working. It's complex. It's because of Europe. It's complex. The interests and culture of member states, authorities, clinicians, individual hospitals. It's a very, very tricky. We are different. It doesn't help. My dream is that, as yours most probably, that we should have more clinical trials, but also, for example, we should allow the member states to. I asked a very, very simple question one day: why we don't, when I finance clinical trials in academia, not as a public sponsor, why I cannot recruit patients in other country? Why Polish clinical researchers is not recruiting patients in Czech Republic or Germany because of the good project developing the medicine, from here? It could be same question to in France, but I heard also in Belgium you have to do study in Flanders or in Wallonia, So and this is in Draghi report. This is exactly about this. Draghi report is saying, okay, we are very good, for example, in approaching single market, but we are executing the single market rules. We have the kind of layer of the national ideas or culture ideas, or behaviors, which are turning us back to the square one. So basically, it's very difficult to do studies in Europe. In this case of clinical trials, and really, I hope we will find the better answer. It seems that regulation in this case, which we allowed, to do clinical trials together, easier, faster, which we spend many years and money to do it, it's still not working. It's not delivering.
Maybe one comment is more cultural in Europe. I think that we are risk adverse in Europe very much compared to other parts of the world. And there are some solutions to complement clinical trial, like an in situ clinical trial. When I keep talking with the European Medicine Agency, well, let's wait a little bit further and we'll have time and so on. US is already accepting that for nearly 10 years. Of course, we have to take a small risk to go in this direction. But you are the one thing that when we are not taking any action in this area, patients are dying. So not doing anything is also taking a risk, but I think that we are a little bit too conservative in Europe, and therefore we are taking more risk for that. So changing the culture here would be quite interesting.
So if I may, I can even give you a very short example of it. So in Europe right now, if you want to set up a study that will be across different European countries, you can use the central clinical trial information system. So it's meant to be a great solution. Everyone uses the same, it's the same rule, you apply once, you go to all the countries.
One scientific assessment?
In theory. But then there will be everything what's underneath and requires all those countries still to communicate with themselves. But the fact that you have just one system, it means that you have just one road and everything needs to fit into this one road. So if you have your protocol that needs to be changed, and at the same time you would like to add more countries, you cannot do it. So you have to do it one by one. What means that in each of those steps, you would lose 3-4 months sometimes in submission and approval.
In each?
Each. And taking the same example, so let's consider that European Union would be like a big organism with different countries. Let's go to the States and treat all states as kind of operating sometimes, and each site that can be operating slightly different. You have IRBs, which are kind of the equivalent of ethics committees in Europe. They can operate either on the local level, so you have site, or on the central level. So you would have a kind of company that would just assess from the ethical perspective if the clinical trial is good. They do it, they are paired with FDA, it's smooth. So you can choose. You can choose if you want to go quickly, and those sites operate this way, or you can go with the local ones. You have selection. So this is why you can kind of set up the study in, let's say, 2 months instead of doing it in 4 or 5 months. And 5 months, this is sometimes way more than patient can wait. So
it's a question of course, of competitive advantage if you can make it faster. Okay, because there is still one question to ask, so let's move to this question. But I found this question as a kind of a question, a provocative question in a way, can we put this as a vision that Europe is competitive? Then we will be asking question, so what do you have to do in order to make this happen? And that's the next level of our conference. I mean, this in the May next year. So last but not least, we know who will be answering this question. Maybe that's kind of provocative summary of this discussion.
Some way it is. This is something that is really close to my experience. I would say probably heart, but maybe wallet. My question is grant financing, as we know it in Europe and Poland, is relevant for supporting innovation? Because this is our specialty. So this is the way we support innovation in Europe. We give grants. This is probably the most important tool. And I'm doing this for 20 years, and I came to realization that we may be doing it wrong. So I'm calling, maybe I will simply give you key areas when this solution lacks. So firstly, the key competence in this system is navigating red tape. If you want to get a grant, you have to be good at administration. So it means it's not meant for innovators. Secondly, this system is totally focused on avoiding risk. This is probably the most important part of the system. It's more visible at Polish level, maybe not that much at the European level, but still. Every decision made by clerks, by administration is focused at not having to face consequences of this decision. So therefore, we pay the experts to give their opinion, and the expert said something, so I'm not going to change it because it's dangerous for the person making the decision. If we are going to change something in the project that we are running, the shortest and the most, let's say, safe answer is no, you can't make this change. So this is my point. In Poland, this is probably vastly exaggerated. So right now in Poland, we have a policy of zero trust. So no institution trusts the companies running grant projects, and it's very, very bitter truth. But everybody is treated as a potential thief. The evaluation system is broken, so we don't choose best projects. We choose the projects that simply didn't were negated in the evaluation. So firstly, we take all the projects that don't match any sort of criteria we have, and only the projects that are left on the stage that are financed. So not the best ones, so the ones that don't have some, let's say, theoretic flaws.
Biased by
this makes the whole system slow and ineffective. And the last point is that we say it this way: this money is spent. We are spending the money. This money is not invested. This is not the attitude when we invest money in for future benefit. I'm not telling only profit, but benefit in general. So my point probably in 70% of those remarks applies to Poland, and also some of them still are relevant at the European level.
Yeah, very, very challenging idea. Which, yeah, I think that of course I heard many those the comments around the grant system, and the problem is that can we have different systems?
The better one.
This would be because this issue of the risk reverse approach. That basically that's very difficult to find the kind of. This is what some innovative projects are telling. Okay, we were not chosen because we are doing things the evaluator never heard about, and is evaluating something which is abstract to the individual. So this is, I think, one of the famous comments I heard from one of the company. But the question is how to do this differently.
We could set up a grant contest for projects that will develop something else than grant financing schemes.
Yes, so if I may comment, I think in order to add a little bit to this question, I will still come back to the point of objective. If we all agree that the objective of grant financing would be to stimulate innovation, and over the years we had some good examples of programs that were doing it. So it's not that Poland doesn't know how to run kind of grant funding in a way that it can be effective. Maybe we just forgot, or maybe we tried to do it again in a too much of a process way. I will take an example of this current operating program called FENG. It's quite well known. You have 334 different attributes that are right now assessed for every single project, regardless whether you are manufacturing something or you are having an innovative oncology drug or you want to send someone to Mars. It will be exactly the same. So for me, although I'm very analytical and I like numbers, it's sometimes a little bit too digital to try to map out innovation through just attributes. You have to understand, you have to feel, and you have to understand what's the objective of it. Why are you doing it? And why it's changing everything what's around you. And unless people that are in charge of it and hopefully in charge of it are not only people that count numbers, but also have a little bit of understanding of those objectives. When they just remove the obstacle, just like maybe or looking into the past, what worked well, and maybe let's come back to what worked well, because that can be introduced quite quickly. I'm sure that we wouldn't have to abandon. We could just maybe resurrect. That's a nice word.
If I can comment on that, actually, when you made the list of all problems and disadvantages of having this grant system, we can see that actually European Commission already acknowledged that problem, and they try to reduce many of these barriers. So what Kamil said, indeed, there should be time for prioritization that is important in terms of this grant-giving schemes. And what you said, to look at the outcomes, and I think that that's what now European Commission does in terms of monitoring the projects that are ongoing. It's not the tables that you have to tick, that it was in the past, actually, that you had to tick in the EC portal what you did, but now you have to really think what would be the outcome? How are you going to make the IP from your project? And how it is relevant for which end users group? So exactly you have to indicate. So you have to make this thinking process, what to do at this stage of drafting the proposals, which is only 20 pages now, I think. So it's not like 200 pages for the national funding, which is crazy. But they go to the reduction of the red tape and looking more at the impact and the outcomes.
And I think one additional point that was mentioned about the risk, kind of how currently the grant financing doesn't like the risk. The problem is that if you do only things that will be kind of done properly, you will be ending up with just basically repeating processes that are well established. There is zero innovation in it. So if you want to innovate, you just have to accept that things will fail. Lots of things will fail. But it doesn't mean that if your project failed, it was a failure. It was just a lesson that was learned in a different way.
But our projects never fail, as you know.
So I think we have to see what was happening all on the way and measure also all those outcomes for the society, for the educational system, for the industry that could have grown thanks to that, not only the 334 objectives on the individual level of aspects. So I think the process itself can be still optimized.
I don't know the numbers, but I'm absolutely betting on it. If we will compare the failure percentage for the grant projects and failure percentages for, let's say, venture capital finance projects, they will be absolutely different. So I would guess that probably 80 to 90% of the projects as grants will be successes, and probably 15 or 10% of VC-funded projects will be successes, and those are two separate realities. And still, there is something fake in it. So we feel it, we know it, and of course, VC funding is an alternative. It is. We use it. Probably the right mix in Europe is lacking. So there is. Let's say the balance in the US is shifted towards the VCs, in Europe towards the grants. Maybe we should simply look for better balance in this area.
I have to stop this conversation right now because we are not going to find find answer. The question is on the table, so let's keep discussing why. And so thank you very much. This is a very productive session. I like it very much because you are always great. I mean, we did it before, and those questions are really thought-provoking and leave us for the next few months to have something to think about. Now we have something to drink about. So let's go to and I have to say hello to those who are already drinking the wine in the room, in the showing room. Thank you very much for for being with us. Thank you for those who stayed with us till this time. This is the last session, last moment of this conference. Thank you for all who've been involved in this endeavor. Our partners like City Kraków, Sano, and also of course the Klaster LifeScience Kraków, my team, Beata, Joanna. I don't see the other ones, but there is a Grzegorz, there's Viola, there's Renata. Did I miss something? This time? And Emma, yes, Emma, of course. Emma is our youngest one. Thank you very much. You've been great. You did great. So let's go to have the final snack. And
Next time in May.
Thank you.
next time in May, yeah, 15, 16 May, here in the same place. Save the date. It will be great conference, I promise. Well, yeah, those questions will be. We will try to at least address those questions during this conference. Yeah.